should first do it and then announce it.
We are expecting our season starts in November and goes up to. Okay, thank you.
I am not a person who gives time frames which I know I may not be able to control.
Dear Mr. Khwaja, Bharat Malkani from the FHRAI. In continuation of our discussion, I fully accept that the concept of classification of our hotels is voluntary, which is why there is a huge disparity which you yourself state. The numbers we have is about 120,000 rooms on the classified category and close to 2.5 million in the unclassified. Many of those rooms are not unclassified because of lack or want of quality or procedures. But I believe, sir, and without going on the micro issues of it, we would like to reiterate that we want to
I hope
we would like to make it more contemporary, sir, the classification norms. It hasn't been done for quite some time. As a fact, the restaurants have been done and we thank you profusely for it. But we really need to take the hotel section forward. And we want you to please dedicate a task force in your office who will do it with the FHRAI. We will work day and night with your department.
I fully agree with you, Mr. Malkani. There is no problem at all. I wonder if Mr. Pere can share his experience on this with the other countries on the classification. Is it, if somebody could give a mic to Mr. Frederick Pere, the gentleman there.
So till the mic goes in, Mr. Perry had invited the FHRAI to go and do a meeting which is scheduled in the next month over the classification criteria across the board on the globe.
Good.
On luxury, mid-segment, economy and 1-star, 2-star.
Good.
So
I'll specifically frame the question from Mr. Pere. The question is, A, is it a generally applicable global practice that there are no regulatory mechanisms in most countries on classification? B, majority of the rooms, are they classified or non-classified? Thank you.
First of all, there is no global rule on classification. It doesn't exist, and I think it's not possible to imagine that it could exist. Perhaps in the next future, could we try to issue some basic criteria? Second, in a classification system, there is 3 main pillars to consider, and not only the set of criteria. There is obviously the core of the system, which is the set of criteria, depending on which you are going to push on and down the level, the average level of the hotels in a country. The set of criteria. Second, the system, how it works, who manages it. Depending on countries, in some countries it's a central government, in other countries it's a local state, in other countries it's a chamber of commerce, in other countries like Germany it's an association of hoteliers, in the United States there are private companies. So the system, how it works, who designs the criteria, who decides. And the third pillar, which is probably the most important and frequently forgotten, is the control. How is it controlled? By who? How the controllers are controlled themselves, and how are they trained? So one part of your question was what is the share of the hotel rooms which are classified? It depends of countries. In some countries, the classification is compulsory. In the majority of the countries, the classification is not compulsory. In Europe, all the systems are not compulsory, but a large part of the rooms of the hotel are classified. A very large part. What to say? I think that when you want to either reform or design a new system, you have to consider the 3 pillars. If you consider only the set of criteria, it cannot work.
Thank you. Let me then make you a very happy person by telling you that all these elements which you mentioned are very much an integral part of our system. A, we do not, I repeat, we do not enforce or impose any classification. There is a committee system. We may agree or disagree with the suggestions or recommendations made by the trade in some respects, but it is not done as a one-way traffic or one-way street. Number 2, the whole idea of classification is that you constantly evolve to higher levels rather than look at a status quo type of situation. The whole idea is to give you a competitive edge. The fact of the matter that 98% rooms in our country are not classified means that people do not want the enforcement part, what you mentioned as the control part, to be looked into closely, and therefore they don't go for classification. So nobody says anything to them. I mean, it's not that they are being persecuted or prosecuted, nothing. It's a voluntary thing. You want classification, you get it. The disadvantage is this: if you are running a nice hotel which is not classified, you will not be put in the ministry's website, and the tour operators who are international or global, they will not put you in their brochures and in their list, and you will lose that segment of the business. But what my friends here seem to forget is that 75% tourism in India is domestic. Though we get 0.64, that's the last year's figure, of the global tourist arrivals, 6.29 million. But the domestic tourist visits based on the TSA, Tourism Satellite Accounting Methodology, I must clarify, as distinct from the World Economic Forum and UNWTO also largely approves of the TSA methodology. WTTC, for example, follows a different one. World Economic Forum also they look at, and some other parameters. We go basically by TSA, and we find that 840 million domestic visits were made within the country last year. Because we are 1.23 billion, 17% of humanity resides in this country on a 2.4% land mass. And out of these 840 million, again about 70% is linked to pilgrimages. It's pilgrimage tourism, you could call it religious tourism, you could call it spiritual tourism, but it is linked to pilgrimages. So the number of people who come from different countries to this country is only 6.29, and this year, due to various reasons, we started well. But at the moment, up to August, our figures are only 6.2% growth vis-a-vis last year. And in terms of rupee earnings, we have gone up sharply because of the depreciation of the Indian rupee vis-a-vis the US dollar, which is the currency for benchmarking. But in terms of US dollars, we have gone down. In terms of rupees, incidentally, we have already earned 56,000 crore rupees, which is about 25% more than the previous year for the corresponding period. But in dollar terms, it's only about 6% more. So we follow, I think, good practices, if not the best practices, and the sort of concerns which my friend is raising. You know, these are all, I was telling him when he was talking to me before I came to this hall. I said, these are very fine points. For example, I was telling him, I have worked in the Pollution Control Board in one of the states of the Union of India. And I told him one golden rule. The Water Control of Pollution Act, Air, Hazardous Substances, etc., all central acts. That is enacted by Parliament, hence applicable throughout the country. The golden rule followed is, you can make the standards more stringent in a state, but you cannot lower the standards. So if we prescribe benchmark X, a particular state for whatever reasons feels the benchmark X is lower, it can raise the bench, but it cannot lower the bench. If it does that, it will be struck aside as an illegal order. In the courts, it will not stand. So the sort of issues he was raising really are micro issues. They are not macro issues, and we will factor in his concerns. He should be a relaxed and happy person in Goa. Don't look so serious.
So it gives me great pleasure to make an announcement today that yesterday evening, when the Minister of Tourism was inaugurating one conference in Kashmir.
Day before yesterday. Our minister was here day before yesterday.
Yes, sir. I'm referring to Jammu and Kashmir, where he was yesterday, and we got the registration for faith, and this is the registration that was pending for so many months, and FHRAI being the core member of the faith organization, it's an announcement to make that we've been able to get the registration, and Faith will be a body of 10 different associations giving one solution to the ministry, and there won't be different associations bothering the ministry now and then for such petty issues.
There is no botheration, sir. You are not a botheration. As Gandhiji said, you are a business.
The next question is from Mr. Simon. If Mr. Simon can just take the mic.
Yes, I know Mr. Simon. How are you, Mr. Simon? Nice to see you.
Sir, just wanted to check with you. You said 2% of the hotels are classified. And increasingly, those very
It's not the hotels, it's actually the rooms.
rooms, okay.
Yes.
Increasingly, those very 2% are branded. So do we need to have a parallel system of brands as much as classification? Can we not dispense with the very classification system? Why maintain an administrative mechanism which really costs you a lot of burden when the brand is what people today deserve and want?
I think this should be debated in the FHRAI, HAI, etc., and then the conclusions should come to us. It would be premature for me to, get into others' territories. We are here to help you. You have to see how best you want to be helped.
So this is the first time that we've got these international associations come to this convention, and probably the president of IHNRA here, Dr. Ghassan Naidi, carries 6 years of experience as the president of the International Hotel and Restaurant Association. The very reason why this FHRAI came into existence was in 1947, Taj Mahal Hotel had gone to the International Association to become a member, and at that time they said, if you're a member of your national association, we can register you, otherwise you get lost. And they came back and they formed the FHRAI for that reason, to become a national body and then get registered with them. And I'm honored to have UNWTO, the Chinese Association, Croatia, the Switzerland, and Dr. ID himself. Besides him, we have the hospitality professionals who are here from the HFTP. We have the Asian American Hotel Association chairman over here. We have the AHNLA president, who also wears a hat like me, of an education institute, an association, as well as scholarship trust. And we also have with us WTTC. I think Vikram Madok has gone for his business expansion somewhere, but the WTTC II initiative is part of this conclave. The suggestion and the interactions we had with them came to me also, sir, as a surprise, where they say, if I can just quote what Dr. ID said, do away with the tourism minister and the tourism, it's a private thing which our country does, and I don't know how much of it can I report back to the ministry.
No,
sir.
it's a delightful suggestion. I welcome it. That's what I said. My memory is that, impression rather, is that United States at the federal level does not have a ministry.
Sir,
Yes, please.
I won't lose my job, I belong to a generalist service, so I'll get parked somewhere else.
मेरा नाम प्रदीप नारायण सिंह है, मैं वाराणसी से हूँ सर। 2011 में जो क्लासिफिकेशन एंड रीक्लासिफिकेशन की गाइडलाइन मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ टूरिज्म से सर आई है, उसमें जो एग्जिस्टिंग बजट होटल्स हैं उन्हें थोड़ी ट्रबल होगी सर। उसमें रिक्वेस्ट ये है कि उसको थोड़ा लिबरल, मैंडेटरी कंडीशन को लिबरल करने के लिए आवश्यकता है सर।
ऐसा है सिंह साहब, एक शेर अर्ज है आपकी खिदमत में, और वो जो शेर है वो मैं जो कहना चाह रहा हूँ वो पूरी इंडस्ट्री के लिए है। ये न सिर्फ क्लासिफिकेशन या होटल्स या टूर ऑपरेटर्स या ट्रैवलर्स, ये मुझे मालूम है, होटल और रेस्टोरेंट्स एसोसिएशन है, बट कल शाम में आई वाज इन अ फंक्शन विद आवर ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर इन दिल्ली with the ITTA, Travel Tour Operators Association, and then next month I have to go to Srinagar for the domestic tour operators, और वो शेर यह है, देखना है अगर इनके उड़ने का अंदाज, देखना है अगर इनके उड़ने का अंदाज, तो आसमान से कहो और ऊंचा हो जाए। तो आपको तो कहना चाहिए क्लासिफिकेशन स्टैंडर्ड्स और ऊंचे हो जाए, आप नीचे की बात कर रहे हैं।
Sir, I'll only request one minute.
आप तशरीफ रखें, आपको मैसेज मिल गया होगा।
I'll only request Mr. Sherwani to translate this into English for our foreigners.
I can translate it. I can translate the couplet which is in Urdu or Hindustani, which is my mother tongue. If you want to see how high they can fly, or if you want to see how high we can fly, then ask the skies to raise themselves even higher. Then ask the skies to raise themselves even higher. I think that's an accurate free translation on the spot.
Mr. Gaurizon.
Sir, this is for the industry, basically not only for the part of Goa. We have a time restrictions, as you know, by the court order to use the sound system after 10 o'clock. And Goa being a wedding destination and lot of parties, marriages
This is
happening.
purely within the purview of the state government. I cannot comment on it. And secondly, I can only tell you there is, please read the provisions of the Pollution or Prevention of Control of Pollution of Air Act, as it is called, 84. I think 65 dBA is the limit. I would urge you neither to exceed the limit and not to exceed the timings. One man's, you know, nectar should not become another man's poison. If somebody wants to enjoy his peace, let him be in peace.
But there are so many hotels.
No, I will
which are
not,
at one
I
side
will
of the
not
corner.
comment on the state governments. That's beyond my, how can I comment what Goa government should do or what UP should do? It's for the state governments. You ask the Honorable Tourism Minister of Goa, not me.
So there was one interaction we had with the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and this came as a suggestion to this question that most of our members have. We were able to influence a kind of decision with the Chief Minister, and this we could probably make as a lighthouse showcase of the city of Mumbai with its nightlife and Bollywood and everything. If we are able to earmark certain tourism zones which have complete security of the police, which are open throughout the night, like the Shanghai and the Beijing and the France, Champs-Élysées and those areas, they could probably be stretches where the restaurants have a conglomerate and tourist traffic is only allowed, there's no vehicular traffic allowed, there is complete regulation. The bartending and everything is quite responsible on the part of the restaurants as an undertaking given. This was a suggestion by the association to say these are the places which are working internationally. People look forward to going to those destinations and go to the flea markets and the night markets. So it was very well taken by the ministry. So we could work around that in different states on these kinds of promotions.
Sure. I mean, there is a concept of night safaris. There's a concept of night tourism. But only thing is, we should be careful, and cultural conditions, cultural norms should be respected. And that's why I said I will not comment on any particular thing a state is doing or not doing. It is for the state to take a view.
So there was one, as you have been always advocating that we are not regulators and we are facilitators, I would only urge that if you can probably facilitate the metros to come into tourism promotion interactions with associations which have a very strict criteria on membership admissions, and we don't have any of those shady illegal members coming to us.
What do you mean by metros?
When I discussed this with Mr. Prithviraj Chauhan, what he suggested was if there can be some kind of a suggestive recommendation coming in from the center, we could say that, well, we have a recommendation from the center purely for these metros, and we might be able to look at tourism zones and these kind of...
You should work on it first and then send a proposal. We'll have a look at it.
Yes, Mr.
I am Nirmal Jain from Khanvel Resort, Silvassa. All the tourists who come from abroad are being checked by the immigration department. But again, the hotels are required to give a C form within 24 hours. And this form is not made online by any of the states. I don't know about Goa is made or not. And it gives lot of trouble. We in Silvassa, we feel that we have invited the foreign tourists, we have done some crime. The policeman who doesn't know English will come to the hotel and make an inquiry for 4 hours with the foreign tourists. That is the behavior our administration.
You should take it up with the local administration, because this is obviously law and order, which is a state subject. The only thing I can say is, after what happened in our country in Mumbai on 26/11, we will, as Government of India, always look at our national security and integrity first. As far as local issues are concerned, they have to be taken up locally.
Mr. Jain, let me just tell you, we have taken this as a test check in Mumbai. We have met the DCP law and order. We've met it. We've gone to the DGP. We've gone to the IGP and taken this as an online mechanism. They have sent the thing to the center law and order. Once it comes from the home department, we cannot enforce it with the tourism secretary. Yes, Mr.
My name is Rangachari. I fully agree with the secretary that classification is a voluntary one and people come forward to showcase for the international tourist what are the facilities a hotel can do. The idea is good. There are a lot of hotels in southern states who have got better showpiece. They are reluctant mainly because there is a what is called the stepmotherly attitude. If you are a classified hotel, your VAT goes to 12.5. If it's a non-classified, is only 2%. That has to be solved, sir, because there are very good properties in south. They don't want to come because of this.
I think you have raised a very valid point. Taxation is a major issue, both in the center as well as in the states. And the sooner it is resolved, the better it is. I'm sure you are aware that as far as we are concerned, we have not been doing our best, but we are doing our utmost. But it's not in our hands. But we have been taking up rationalization. Best example is a variation in ATF. In some states it's 4% and in some states it's 38%. This is something entirely